Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate how to apply for a new single-family home. All permits that are reviewable and require plans have a similar process. Some of the questions are a bit different. So we're going to go ahead and log into our ACA account. So we are here, and building permits are what we are going to be demonstrating. So we're going to click on building, and you'll be able to see from this list all the ones that you have already applied for yourself or that your name is associated with. So we are going to create a new permit application. So there's an option here at the top, and there's a disclaimer for you. And because I have a license associated with my account, I have the ability to choose that license, or if it's not applicable to what I'm applying to, you could click that. But this saves a little time. Once you're connected to your license, then you won't have to add yourself as a licensed professional, and you'll see that in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and choose the contractor that I want to use, which is myself. And here are your record options. We're going to do a new single family home. So obviously we know that's residential, and then it is a new construction permit. So you could also type a, if you wanted to put residential new, you didn't want to go through this list, you could do that. There you go. And there it takes you right to it. So you could do that for anything. Residential shed, you could just type in a garage shed, and it would give you both options, residential and commercial. So it just kind of dwindles down your list to whatever you've typed there. It's helpful. So we're going to go ahead and click residential new construction, continue. And the first item you will need to do is enter an address or parcel identification number. Whichever one you have, you do not have to do both. So in this case, I'm going to enter an address. And less is more. I think it's just easier. We know that Hummingbird is Hummingbird Avenue, but it's doubtful there would be any other 5895 Hummingbird. If there was, you'd get an option to choose the correct one. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and search. Didn't want to type everything necessary. Saves me some time. And I think now you can see that the parcel number has been auto-populated based on the address. So everything we need is here. So we're going to go ahead and continue. And now it wants some information about this application. Application name is not required, but if you had a unique name you wanted to put in there, you certainly could. We'll just put test here, and we're going to put new single family residence, 5 bedrooms, 2 baths. You could put anything that was identifiable and identify this particular permit. And as you can see, these red asterisk, this is a required field. And these are all the project details for your permit. And again, we have the red asterisks on the ones that are absolutely required, and other things that if you know it, please enter it. If you don't, you certainly can skip it if there's not a red asterisk. So we'll go through each one of them. Project type. This is a new single family, so it could be any one of these options: duplex, mobile home, single family, or townhouse. In this case, we're going to do a single family. The project subtype will default to none, but if this is a green building or considered affordable housing, you could also choose the applicable one, but it will default to none. Occupancy type, if you know that, it is certainly something that's on the plans. You could choose. The residential ones are down. These are in alphabetical, so you could choose that. Otherwise, if you weren't certain, you could certainly leave those blank. Same with the construction type. If this is a model home, you would click yes. In this case, we're going to say no. The total building area is certainly required. We have a red asterisk on there, so we're going to make this 2,500 square foot home. Estimated job cost is very important and must be entered. And this is going to be 250,000. Building height not required, but if you know what it is, we'll go ahead and put something there. Oh, and if you noticed that this red note came up when anything that's over 2,500 is going to require a notice of commencement, and that is something that you can upload during the uploads process, which I'll show you in a moment, or you can do that later. It is required before it is issued. Number of bedrooms, I think we typed 5 bedrooms. That is a required field. Number of stories, we certainly do want that. It is not a required field, but that is certainly something we would expect to be there. If there was a demolition, if you removed a house or are going to remove a house, we certainly want to know if you are, for a lot of different reasons. I'm going to go ahead and click yes, and you will see another note that says, if you are demolishing a house, you are going to need to get a separate permit. So that will be a whole separate record that you will need to apply for. And that would be under residential demolition. So we have an option for that. Work in the right of way is a yes, no. So we're certainly going to say no to that. And that is a required field. Water and sewer source is also required. So in this case, we would never choose not applicable on a new single family. So it's any one of these options that apply to this property. We are going to choose county, that it's on county water and sewer. If there is any gas, LP, natural, or if there are no, if it is not going to have gas, we choose not applicable. Lawn irrigation, if you do have one, you would need to include a irrigation subcontractor. In this case, we're going to say no. Private provider plan review, private provider inspections will default to none. There is a long list. You would choose the company if you were planning on using a private provider. If you do choose a private provider, you would choose the company, and then you would be required to enter that same private provider company as a subcontractor. That would allow the private provider company to upload their inspection results once this permit got issued. Owner performing work, we're going to say no, because we've signed in as a contractor, but we would allow owner to apply for a permit. They would just have to meet all the rules regarding that, but they could certainly submit. This defaulted as no. Architect engineer could apply for a single family home if they had not chosen a contractor. So they could do that and would not be required to enter a contractor. At this point, they would certainly have to have that before issuance. Service amperage, we're going to say this is 200. And it looks like we have everything required. If we had missed something that was a required field, it will tell us when we click on continue application. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. All right, and the next options are required things that need to be submitted, or is the contacts. We want to know who the applicant is, and we also want to know who the property owner is. We do require our applicants to tell us who the property owner is at this phase. So the applicant is who is applying for it, and I am actually logged in. So I'm going to choose select from account for the applicant. That saves me some typing. And in most cases, whoever's logged in is going to be the applicant. So I'm going to choose myself here. I'm going to say continue. And then we're going to say that I am the applicant. I already had my mailing address included, and it's got all my information because it's associated with my account. The property owner is certainly not me. I'm applying for a new house. Okay, so we are going to add a property owner. We do require you to do that at this stage. We are going to Smith Jones, first name, last name, and we are then going to enter the phone number, and we are enter an email. We do require the email for the property owners. That is a required field. And we are going to, we have to enter their mailing address. And Okay, so that should give me all the information needed. Okay, so now we have an applicant and a property owner. And those are the required ones. They are listed right down here. If I wanted to change something, I could by editing this record or deleting and starting over, but I could not proceed if I did not have an applicant and a property owner. So the primary contractor is based on, it auto-populated based on what I chose in the very beginning. So that's me. So I'm listed there. If I wasn't going to be that, then we could remove it and add someone else. But in this case, this is who I am. So, and I don't know if you've noticed, but every page that I pass during this process, it does give me the ability to save and resume later. So if you didn't know some information, you got interrupted and you needed to stop, you could certainly save and resume later. The system would give you a temporary number and you would see it in your list and you could always go back to start it over. You would have that ability for many, many days. So we're going to go ahead and continue. And if we wanted to add our subcontractors, this is where you would do that. You would obviously not select from your account unless you also had a different kind of license that was associated. But in this case, I do not. So you would look up. And so if I wanted to go ahead and add my air conditioning, roofing, and electrical contractor, we would do it right here in the subcontractor list. And so we'll go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to add my roofing contractor. 789. So go ahead and look him up. And it automatically added for me. We're going to add my electrician. We are going to enter the license number. It should allow me to do that without choosing the license type. Nope. So you must say what type of license number it is. And there it's added that. So at this point, those are the only ones that I'm going to add. I can, if I don't add my subcontractors during the initial stage, creating your permit, the only way you'll be able to add them is through the amendment option. So it is best to enter them all right here. It's immediate. It's certainly something that can be done later before the permit gets issued, but this is the easiest place to do it. So we're going to go ahead and move along, continue the application. And we have the ability to change anything that we have entered. If the property owner we didn't think was correct, or if we got things mixed up, we could edit that. Any of the project details, I could go back and change just by clicking the edit button. Very easy to change anything at this point. This is your time when you want to do it. If there is, if you see something incorrect, you could even change the address or parcel if you entered it incorrectly. But we're going to assume everything is just fine. We're going to go ahead and click this affidavit disclosure that you should read, and we will go ahead and continue. Okay, so the next screen that comes up is the required fees. So those must be paid at submittal. So we're going to go ahead and check out. And you could, of course, remember this, a temporary number is given. You could add this. What I just did is I checked out, I added it to my cart, just like Amazon. But if I wanted to wait to pay, because I was going to apply for 5 permits today, I could go ahead and go back to the beginning, start a new permit, and then allow them to add to the cart and pay for them all at the same time. Once you pay, that's when the actual permit number gets created. As you can see right now, this is just a temporary number, but again, you can always go back to it. But we're going to go ahead and check out. We're going to go ahead and pay this one. And after payment is made, that's when you actually upload your plans, the required documents. We're going to go ahead and pay this with a test credit card number that we have. So make sure I'm not a robot. Okay, so once the payment's been processed, this screen will come up. You can print or view your receipt. And it's a detailed receipt with the total paid and the permit number and address, all the usual things that we have on our receipts. It also gives you your permit number right here on the screen. Address is here. This button is, it also tells you that you will need to upload your plans. The permit will not process, although you get your number, permitting will not send this permit through for plan review until the plans have been uploaded. So you want to do that fairly immediate after you submit, after you pay your payment. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click on Upload Plans and Documents. And it's going to tell you exactly the documents that are required. You would not be able to submit this permit for review until each one of these has been submitted. You can certainly submit other types of documents, but these are the required ones. So we're going to go ahead and continue. And it's going to give you this drag and drop option for uploading your plans. I'm going to go ahead and click the Browse button and choose. Okay, so I am going to choose my construction drawings, my drainage plan, my energy calc. Although the notice is not required at this time, I'm going to go ahead and upload that. My product approvals, my site plan and survey, and I think I have everything, and it'll certainly tell me if I don't. So you do have to select the document type. These document types certainly have to match what that we are requiring. So we're going to go ahead and call this construction plans. This is my drainage plan, my NOC, which is my notice of commencement, my energy calcs, product approvals, site plan and survey, and maybe there's one other item I needed to upload. I'm going to browse again, and we are going to upload this just for demonstration. And then we have lots of options in here, but there's also other supporting documents, and that's always a good one if it's not actually listed in the list and it's something different than any of these other ones. So we're going to upload and validate. This process is actually looking for identifying the sealed plans and making sure the seals are meet our standards. We're going to go ahead and process these files. This certainly can take a couple of minutes if the files are big, and it is something that you can navigate away from if you chose. It would keep doing its processing. Okay, so now the files have processed, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the continue button. It's important to watch the continue button. It will come up a couple of times, and it is not complete until you get to the button that says finish. So watch for that. Now, in most cases, the system will pick up page numbers that are on the plans, but in some cases you can see these are not real plans, so it had a little trouble. So you will you'll get an error that says sheet number is required. Please check that all plan sheets have a sheet number. So you just need to type that in yourself. And again, these had them, but just did not pick them up. I'm just typing what exactly is in here. All right, so all the red has gone away. So we're going to go ahead and continue. And there's the finish button. That's very important. You can see you can go here or down at the bottom. You can edit any of these files if you've uploaded the wrong plan, or if you think that there's another one that you want to add, you would click on edit and have the ability to browse and upload more plans. But we have submitted everything that's needed. You've got a green checkbox next to everything that were the requirements for this type of permit. The requirements are different for all kinds of permits, different types. So now you can see your review package has been submitted and the status of it is submitted. So once the status is submitted, permitting staff will send that for review to the applicable plan reviewers.